Learn 365 RI.
The Dan Yorke State of Mind program is brought to you in part by Lookout Rhode Island and Takeo Comfort Solutions.
I don't know, in some ways it feels like a football play. Learn 365 RI, hut, hut, hut. I don't know, but it's a brand that the governor of this state certainly wants to have resonate and to move the ball forward on education in a big way. And I think on day 2 of the news of the install of this program, there are some serious questions that people have and some gaps that might be out there in terms of understanding what it is. So why don't we figure it out? Here's the headline from yesterday. Massachusetts is no doubt a competitor, a neighbor, and of course very much part of our audience. So it's kind of like talking about family members when we're having a conversation about Rhode Island and Massachusetts. But there's no doubt that the Commonwealth is well ahead of the Ocean State when it comes to performance, and then COVID comes in and knocks everybody back, and you got to regroup and figure the whole thing out. And the metrics are hard to establish, but the governor is looking to establish some metrics, not just for the core curriculum performance through the commissioner's leadership and the like, but to help it along. And he talked about the time spent outside of school yesterday in an address in Newport to kick this entire thought process off.
And if we're going to catch up with our neighboring states, we know there needs to be additional learning outside the school day. The reality is that children actually spend most of their awake hours outside of school. And it's that out-of-school time that I want to focus on.
Full disclosure, Governor, welcome. Great to see you.
Hi, Dan.
And full disclosure, I helped with the governor's campaign. I'm all in with the governor. Doesn't mean I'm not going to ask him a tough question or 2 or 10 over the course of his tenure. But the familiarity, breeds a buy-in by me on what's going on here, not just because of the familiarity, but because I know that you've been on this a long time. And it's, what I find frustrating is that fellow members of the media are not necessarily bought in quite yet, and really don't really understand exactly what's in your head, and all the marketing and explanation and speech making in the world on days 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 may not get this thing accomplished. But I can't tell you how many times after a round of golf, or you and I just sitting around having a beer, where you would pull out a napkin and you would draw the amount of time that students are in the classroom in a working day, and then and you had this graph that you would write for me to visually explain to me. I don't know if it came out like that or not, but you'd be this is well before you actually stepped in the governorship. Yeah. This is between mayor and lieutenant governor. You've been very concerned with the idea that what happens outside the classroom is as important as what happens inside the classroom. And so I think that's what's driving this. Am I on the right track?
Well, it's a pathway towards better outcomes. COVID clearly has created a situation where recovery is going to be, if you talk to Commissioner Fonte Green, 3 to 5 years. So where are you going to get the extra time, unless it's outside the school day? So, yes.
Well, others would say, well, just extend the school year. What are you talking about? So when you said something funny during your speech. You said, when you first introduced the idea to the students a week or so ago with the number 365, they were all freaking out thinking they had to go to school year round. That's not what this is, correct?
No, it's absolutely, it's about the enjoyment of learning, and having mayors really use that bully pulpit to convene their community, and every family looking at education being important every day of the year. And then having us provide guidance to those mayors about how to actually make that happen.
All right, but the idea that listen, teachers are working hard, administrators are working hard, commissioner working hard, slow improvement, COVID comes, disruption. clearly there's got to be a lot of continued good work and reformation in terms of what's happening inside the school. Let's talk about that first, and then we'll talk about how your program, Learn 365, augments that. What are we doing right now in terms of making the school experience more efficient and getting better performance?
Well, Commissioner Infante Green, which I agreed to provide an additional 3 years on her agreement, we need to stay the course, Dan, right? We can't keep on reinventing the wheel every time a new leadership comes in. So she's really working to make sure implementing curriculum strategies. She's looking at ways that we can address some of the challenges we have, right, with language, right, with language learners. And encouraged me to put money in the budget to cover costs, so to make sure that we're making sure that we're getting the kids up to the English language as fast as we can, but at the same time honor the Spanish or whatever language they speak at home.
She's overdue to come in here to talk about some of those things, but if you had a bumper sticker respond to the question, characterize what the in-school improvement mission statement is, what would it be?
Well, it's to provide opportunities for the kids to reach their potential, and I think you've got some really good leadership in RIDE right now that we're putting confidence in. A good example of what's happening in Providence, right? The state is running the Providence schools. I'm very engaged in who's superintendent, who's the commissioner. Just had a lunch with the mayor and the school board chair, along with the commissioner and superintendent at the Providence School Department building, talking about these very things. How can we use our leadership to help what happens inside the school day? So I'll leave the explanation of all the technical things
right.
That happen
but
in the school day.
But there is no one trick.
Of course not. And we've been talking for a long time. I can show you years and years of people saying, "Hey, we're not doing as good as as we should be, and what are we going to do?" And you continue to try to solve the problem inside of the current school format, and the teachers are working hard every day. And but what we need to do is we need to add to that learning time
On a mandatory basis or an optional basis?
All volunteer. What we're doing is all volunteer. So when I hear knee-jerk reactions about a plan that just was outlined yesterday, and we're in our second day, as you just said, for a plan that's going to help kids learn better and accomplish more in their lives, either one of two things: either they're not understanding, people are not understanding what we're doing, and I encourage them to read the speech and take a look at what we're doing there, or they just don't want to see it happen, right? So we're going to continue to work. We have a coalition that we put together that is unprecedented. It's unprecedented, and we're going to work together to engage young people and their families out of school time, and we're going to reach those goals, and we're going to make it happen by the end of the decade.
All right, so when we come back, we'll talk about specifically what is it that's unprecedented, and the difference between the school side of your taxpayer investment and the municipal side, and they are different. Stay with us. There you are with the new young mayor of Newport, signing documents yesterday. What is he signing?
He's first of all, he's a great leader, and I've known Zai for years, and he acknowledged that in his comments. I think that's another thing people could go take a look at what the mayor said there about his community and his concern, very similar to what I had in town of Cumberland when I became mayor. We had 2 failed elementary schools in my town, and I wanted to do something about it. So Zai is in the same spot. He outlined the outcomes in his schools in Newport as being, well below average, and he wants to do something about it. And so he's going to be that leader in Newport, and that when we sign those, the 365 compact, municipal compact, it's agreeing to do multiple things, like put a stress, work with the governor's office to put in learning strategies in their community, partner in with, like he did with the Boys and Girls Club yesterday, having annual education meetings in his community, and use his bully pulpit and the ability to convene people to talk about how important this education
Will
is.
he build a facility in Newport like you built in Cumberland back when you were mayor?
That'll be up, again, it's voluntary with the municipal leaders. We announced yesterday $50 million that's going to go into this program. So we're serious about it, right? Over $3 million that's going to go into programming, and all the mayors and all the municipal leaders that sign on to the compact will be eligible for some funding for programs. And then the other money, that $47 million, which was approved in the budget last year, we just got to work our way the U.S. Treasury right now. We will appropriate dollars to the communities that sign the compact. They can retrofit space, they can build space, they can reinvest in, they can invest the dollars in facilities. And as long as they focus on education, jobs, and health, that's the federal standard. And my standard is as long as they're focusing on improving education in their community outcomes, improving attendance, and improving the FAFSA application, then we're going to be able to provide local communities with a good beginning on some funding that'll come in.
All right, so let's walk through this. First of all, what I don't think a lot of people understand, and it's unfortunate, the civics understanding is too low in America and in the state. 80% of your taxpayer dollars locally go to the schools. And oftentimes you'll bump into a mayor, you experience this, you'd be out at Dave's shopping on a Sunday afternoon and someone would say, hey mayor, blah, 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 and start talking to you about the schools. At which time you kind of say, well, I'm not in charge of the schools. And they think, what? You're the mayor. What do you mean you're not in charge of the schools? And the truth is that it's a separate governing model. Massachusetts, by the way, has its mayors mostly intimately involved in the school system, sitting as chair people of school committees, and there's a connection there. In Rhode Island, there is no connection. So back in whatever the year was that you started this Office of Children and Learning, when was that?
2007.
2007 in Cumberland. It was disruptive. Excuse me. Got the cough this week. It bothered the school officials. It was unique. And what did it do? And what is it still doing today?
Well, the way it works today is a little different than when we came in, but because I put the dollars in the budget to make sure that we could have full-day kindergarten in our town. You think way back when that we were one of the first in the state to do that. So what it does is every day it provides education opportunities to the families in that community in Cumberland that want to help their kids read, tutoring, math, art, music, all the things that are the kids
optional, volunteer.
It's all volunteer.
Volunteer, who's volunteering?
Well, the parents, volunteer their time with their kids. It's not mandated that they take advantage of this. And then the town of Cumberland has a budget line item that employs staff, and the staff is coming from areas that in education areas. So you have reading specialists, and music. You had
teachers that are already on the payroll in the system or outside the system.
Some of them are retired, some of them haven't started their careers yet, and some of them are in the system. So it's a combination.
And the program that you run in Cumberland could be specific, and North Providence could have a different variation, correct?
Yeah, North Providence with Mayor Lombardi, he took the concept of a mayor-led youth commission. He has one of the very best, I think, in New England, if not the country, where he interacts with kids and families every single
It's still
week.
a thorn in the side of educators in Cumberland. So on the backside, not only are you dealing with doubters about whether you've actually constructed something that will be effective, even in Cumberland still, while the performance of the system has risen significantly, they kind of discount what your creation has had in terms of impact. Why is that? Not all of them, but some of them.
All I know
School
is that
committee members, even the superintendent kind of goes like, whatever.
All I know is that 15 years later, the families want that. We've graduated high school kids that started in pre-kindergarten.
How many families access that facility in Cumberland?
I think that at the time there was about 1,000 kids a year that would actually get involved in that. So that's a good piece of the age group. It was a relatively young age group.
And they saw improvement. Those kids saw improvement.
I'm sure that they've showed improvement, but for the fact that's what I'm saying. The more learning time you have, the better you get. The more times you practice the follow shot.
So it's kind of unorthodox. It's unorthodox in Rhode Island for the municipal side, for the mayoral side, to engage in schools. And what you're doing is taking the model that you had in Cumberland and replicating it throughout the state. There's some questions in the press as to whether mayors will actually be interested in this, that it's not really their job. Why do you laugh?
Well, because I know mayors are interested in it. I had an administrator text me this morning, couldn't make it to Newport. He says, I'm all in. We've already started in our rec program. I talked to my rec department about putting some learning strategies into my summer program, and please have your office call so that we can get some direction. So we know that at this point in time, that it's a natural for municipal leaders to get involved in this. And we do. We have 70% of the state's population right now represented through their mayors that are going to be working on this.
Where's the other 1/3?
Which we're still in conversations with them. I hosted a...
Has anybody said no? Any mayor or town administrator said, I don't want to do anything about this?
We have had nobody say no, and I don't think we will. We just got to make sure we work through all the 39 cities and towns.
All right, so it's
but I think on the point on this thing,
Sure.
because this particular thing, remember, when we did the mayoral academies and we did the Office for Children's Learning, that was unusual, like you say, and it created conflict. This is not going to create conflict. Our schools are on board with what's going to happen. In Newport yesterday, superintendent of schools, the mayor, the Boys and Girls Club, with Salve Regina, because the higher ed's going to play a role in this. Remember, Shannon Gilkey was there yesterday.
Higher Education Commissioner.
The Higher Education Commissioner. So higher ed's going to play a role in this learning time, this 365 learning time, and adding 1 million hours of learning time a year. And as well as the school committee members were there yesterday. This is going to help what happens inside the school day. And when I met in August to start talking about this idea very strongly, before the primary, you can't put something like this into effect without a 4-year term. And then after the primary, thank you to the voters, for the Democratic voters for electing me during the primary. We had another meeting. We started to form more organically with CTE board, NEA in the meeting, AFT in the meeting, our commissioners in the meeting, our higher ed in the meeting, bringing in nonprofits, bringing in the Department of Labor, the Secretary of Housing. So this, like I said, this coalition that we put together, Dan, it's unprecedented. And so the momentum that we're going to receive internally in the communities is going to be really strong.
And so to formalize this, the mayors who sign on to this, and you're telling me no town has said no, so say a few months from now, every community has got a municipal side, a mayoral side, a town administrator side, a city council side, project to augment, to supplement for families the work that's being done in their school systems. The mayors are signing on to this compact agreement, which means they're going to pursue metrics that you think must be followed and accounted for, correct?
And the accountability is a big piece in this. When I'm talking to national foundations, which I have a network in national foundations that, because we're starting a nonprofit called Always Learning, and they're going to be for the communities that want to use the benefit of that core group of professionals that have high skills in education. They want accountability. And the best thing about this is we can track every year. This year will be like our base year, the first year without masks, right? The first year without COVID. We'll have a base year on our reading and math. We have a base on our attendance and the FAFSA applications. We're going to meet individually with every community on a quarterly basis that's in on the compact, and we're going to say this is where we are. This is where you need to go. In Newport, for instance, they have a middle school, they have an elementary school, and they have one high school. We're going to be able to work with the mayor, with all the leadership in Newport, so that they'll know exactly where they are and whether they're on track for us to, reach that goal that we're going to do by the end of the decade.
Is funding contingent on performance?
Funding will be contingent, but not initially. We're going to make sure if we have one mayor that says, I'd like to use my assistant superintendent to spearhead this in my town. That's your choice. We have another mayor that says, I would like to run it through 5 of my nonprofits. That's their choice. But anybody who the mayor designates or the municipal leader designates, they will be held as accountable for the outcomes in the schools as the schools are. And so that piece of that spreading out this accountability is very attractive to the teachers. They've had this weight on their back for far too long. And where COVID comes in, we have a 3 to 5 year recovery in terms of not only academics, but mental health issues that are prevalent, and also physical health issues, because some of these kids were not.
Lastly, what do you expect? Because we only have a minute, 30 seconds in this segment. What do you expect everyday Rhode Islanders and families and parents to know about this? How are they going to know that they can access additional help in their communities, in their towns?
Well, one thing that no one can deny in Cumberland, when I was a mayor, we lit a fire in the families for excellence relative to that education.
So your mayors across the state will have to do the same?
The mayors are going to play the rallying point in every community, and then we're going to help them either through RIDE's office, my office, which I've geared up with education experts in my office, or whether it's through the nonprofit, or we expand that out in terms of giving guidance to the municipal leaders that they ask for to help them achieve the goals that we're going to achieve by the end of the decade.
All right. A political question for the governor when we come back. Stay with us. Well, I know the governor was with Joe Shikarchi if he decided to run for Congress, but he's not running. So, Maddie, can you put this the screen up? By the way, are half your neighbors running too? I mean, this is ridiculous. Are you as incensed as I am that Sabina Matos is this? You know, she told us all the reasons why she had to be lieutenant governor. You chose her. She's your partner, and now she's trying to run for another office. Does that bother you?
I kind of let people make up their own personal decisions on their career path, so it doesn't bother me.
Are you with her?
If people,
you're supporting her?
I'm staying on the sidelines until everybody puts their name on that, actually files in June and brings back 500 signatures. Let's see who's standing.
It will thin out after June, but I mean, it's infuriating to me.
So you have to kind of see. We got to see who's in. I mean, if I have multiple friends in, I certainly will provide our guidance from our office on anything that has to do with what I think is really good for the state of Rhode Island, and our door will be open to people that are supportive of the 2030 plan that we have, supportive of the 365 Learn 365 plan, supportive of making sure that we have better incomes in the state, and supportive of the stuff that we just came from. I just came from a press event in Richmond where we're investing another $1.8 billion coming through our federal delegation. Thank you to them for infrastructure improvements in the state. I think that's what we need to do, is we need to make sure we have somebody in there that can bring back the resources for us.
Perfect veer. Thank you. I wouldn't jump in either. I just thought maybe I could get you. Final word when we come back, Steve. Thank you, Governor. Alrighty, look, in a year's time, we'll know whether Learn 365 RI has resonated. Just know on your side of the screen, your kids and grandkids can get access to extra help in your community. You should ask your mayor about it. Have a great week. We'll talk to you.